one person only I'm picking up.
So I guess like from what I understand, it's like uh, when like either two or more people have like some unnecessary type of argument, or like just like the whole society type of like a unnecessary type of argument, I guess.
Okay, so you are guessing, right? But this topic you have already studied in grade 7 also, right? So rather than guessing, I just wanted to see how much you remember what you studied in grade 7 as well, okay? So rather than guessing, I think you should be a little more confident with what is that, but whatever you told is also correct. Any other people have any different things to add in that? What is conflict? And please do not turn your camera off, okay? Immediately I'll have to remove if I just identify the camera was off for a long time. Okay, so conflict and its management. So based on what we discussed yesterday, and little addition to that, okay, it's a process which begins when a party perceives that another party is either frustrating, is about to frustrate, can also be is a cause of like a conflict. Okay, then because of that also conflict can be arising. Adrian, can you keep your camera down? So that's another reason of that's itself a cause of conflict. And Rusan, why are you late? Chronic,
Yes, sir.
why are you late for the class?
Sir, it reached. Sir,
Why are you late for the class?
sir, I just
Rejoin.
rejoined.
I
Yes,
told you
sir.
not to be rejoining too many times. What is the reason?
Sir, I was like turning on my
Sir,
camera. I
it was not
mistakenly
loading.
pressed the end call button.
Okay, please do not keep on doing that. Okay? It gets the teacher distracted, thinking that you have entered late in the class. If I see that you are lucky to enter, but later on I find that you have been coming in out, I'll mark absent. Is that clear? I can see that report later on, and I'll be marking that itself as absent. So during class time, we cannot keep on always keeping that is and that to discuss. So immediately it will be marked as absent, and there will be a communication to the parents stating the reason why you are marked absent. Okay, so this is one of the cause of conflict. Okay, so conflict is itself a disagreement. Okay, between people. Sometimes the disagreement is because like their interests are different. There's no compatibility in the way of that they're thinking, or the interests are not similar. Okay, then that also can be giving rise to conflict. That's what we told already yesterday. So we already have discussed that. So for now, so this is one of the things. So what do you understand? Right? So most of the time where there are people, there will always be conflicts. The conflict will be happening because when the people are there, like there's a saying in Nepali, like if you're in the same bed, of course you're going to kick the next person who's sitting side of you. Yes or no? In Nepali, there's a saying, not saying, but they say that. Like let's say you are a twin brother and you sleep with your brother also, there can be a chance that you hit each other. Yes or no? So this type of conflicts will be occurring, and it's more or less like it's happening. Wherever the people are there, the conflict will be happening. Like even between twins, you can see the example written here. There is conflict. Even if you are twins, okay, you will be having a conflict. Even if you are sleeping together, right, or anything, you will be having this. Like you will be having uh, conflict. So there are you can identify this as different levels of conflict. In the level, like first you can say like it's a level of conflict itself of argument, discussion, debate, disagreement, right? That is one type of conflict. where you are arguing with each other. There's a discussion, a debate, disagreement. This type of conflict also can be there. That is positive and healthy also. It could be positive and healthy. Okay, because you are coming with an agreement, you are coming with a negotiation, or you are coming with like a balancing point. Yes or no? Where both of you agree with the similar type of thing. So that's, you can take it to some extent positive and healthy. Whereas others could be negative and unhealthy. Some can be positive and healthy, some it could be negative as well. Next level is conflict of competition. The conflict is happening because of competition. So there's a competition among you. Maybe some are competing to make sure they are getting better grades. Maybe some are competing to make sure that they show their work better. Maybe some are competing for the position. Yes or no? There are different types of competition that's going to be happen. So you can see that could be also positive and healthy. At the same time, it could be negative and unhealthy also. So when it is negative and unhealthy, can you see? When it is positive and healthy, we'll be coming to that. But can you just think uh, when it can be positive and healthy, when it can be negative and unhealthy? We'll be coming to that. Okay. When can it be positive and when can it be negative?
Excuse me, sir.
When is this like conflict positive in case of competition or argument? Like in both argument and competition, we observe it as both. Sometimes it can be taken as positive, it can be taken as negative also.
So it can be taken positive when like someone's like disagreeing with like a idea of someone else in a discussion. Like discussion.
Okay, so at that time you can think that is positive. Okay, we'll be coming to this in the next slide. Okay, so I just want you to think before we move on to that. A little bit of critical thinking exercise in the middle as well. And when can you think it is negative? Either argument, discussion, debate, or disagreement, or competition. Or you can explain at least one of them. When do you think it's going to be a negative thing? Everyone, please think. I'm going to call random few people. Okay, it's not only for the few people only who are like who are active. Okay, or this also same. Please keep your camera down. Okay, you were down. Okay, not the camera was up, but you were down. Okay, so ROE, can you give out a try? When do you think it can be negative? Conflict. How do you think it is negative? We cannot hear you. Still, we cannot hear you. Still, it's not coming. Okay, please work out on that mic. Okay, Nicholas, can you give out a try? This one is very easy to give out a try.
Sir?
Can you tell me why do you take this argument, discussion, debate, disagreement, competition as negative?
Sir, I didn't get the question, what you said.
This conflict, whatever you're seeing on the screen, argument, discussion, debate, disagreement, competition, how can you take that as a negative thing? Why is it negative? Why is it a bad? Do you think it's not good? So you know what are we trying to say when we mean by negative? Yes or no? When you see that word negative, it's trying to say
Yes, sir.
something bad. It's trying to say something not good, disadvantage, demerit. So why do you think it's a disadvantage, not good? Okay, just the synonym of that. When do you think that conflict is not good?
So I guess because like it harms like their
Yeah, this is
it harms their like friendship if like the friends are conflicting on something.
Okay, so that's when it's negative and unhealthy as well. So it was very easy. So from grade 7 itself, we have been studying about conflict and why is it a problem, right? So you have to know that is the reason of, well, you have to know that most this is what you study from grade 7 and it should not be a problem to answer that. Okay, so you know most of the cases you have studied, conflicts are not good, fight is not good. But here only the thing it was difficult when we told how can you take it as positive. Okay, that should be a challenge for you to answer, not why you should take it negative. Negative, I think more or less you know you have been taking that as negative, and it is more or less it looks like negative, but sometimes it can be taken as positive as well. Okay, are you clear about that? And finally, the warfare is always destructive. If you have a war, international conflict, that is always destructive. That's there is no positive in that most of the time. Is that clear? So these are the different types of conflict. Okay, international conflict is also happening. Okay, for sometimes resources, right? For sometimes different reasons. Okay, now next thing, what are the causes? We have already done that also. Can you get us like organized itself? Like, can you say what are the causes? Just one of you. Pranik, what is the cause? Adya and Karan, please turn on your camera. Pranik, can you tell me what are the causes of conflict? What do you think are the causes of conflict?
Sir, 1 minute.
Okay, I have to remove you. Okay, Pranik, like you are taking 1 minute, 2 minute, and then you're not even listening. I think. Okay, like please pay attention. Okay, some of you are not able to answer immediately because like you're not listening to the teacher. So please be listening. Okay, what is the cause of conflict? If you don't understand the question, you can just ask to repeat. What is the cause of conflict? What are the reasons that people have conflict? We have already done this also yesterday. We're just getting it organized. Okay, yesterday we did it based on our prior knowledge of grade 7. That's what we did, right? So right now we're just going it in a more systematic and organized way to just understand them. Okay, Adrian, can you tell what is the cause of conflict? What do you think are the causes of conflict that we talked yesterday? Today also I already told.
Sir, information conflicts, values conflicts, interest conflicts.
Okay, why do they happen? So that's what you are told more or less types of conflict, right? So I just wanted to ask you like, what is the reason? Why is there conflict? Okay, so especially like when I ask question and then you're not able to like you don't even know what the teacher is talking about, then it feels like you're not paying attention. Okay, that's what teacher has to think.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Nicholas.
Can I go to washroom?
Uh, I think we're already in grade 8, and is it emergency like in the middle of the class?
Uh, Sir, it's emergency.
That's what I've been trying to say. You know, like even if you're 1 minute late, I've not been saying in the at the beginning, but in the middle, if you start going, then it gets like disorganized. So,
So I'll come
like
fast.
okay, just for this will be the more or less last time okay, for me to send people. So try to go at first itself and just sit down. It will be a good refreshment if you go immediately after the class and get ready for next class. Okay, please go for today. If not,
Thank you,
please
sir.
work out on that. Okay, so these are the various causes. Okay, sometimes the way of thinking is different, perceptual difference. The perception, okay, is different, and that's when then that's when people can have conflict. And next reason is like sometimes the conflict can happen because of different need. People have different need. Okay, and for that, uh, maybe you need some gadgets, maybe you need some device to maybe for something else, and your need is not being fulfilled, then you might have some conflict, right? With the family, with parents itself, similarly in different places, right? So there can be different ways of different reasons of having conflict, whether it be in an organization or whether it be in a family or whether it be in society. But in case of management or any places, right, that can be one of the cause of also conflict. Another thing is like another source or cause of conflict is inflexible thinking. Means like you're not appreciating others' view, you're not appreciating others' perspective, their point of view, right? There is a clash of interests are not similar, then that's also when you can have conflict. You think so in one way and your friend thinks in another way, and you totally come with different opinions. That's when you also can have conflict. Another source of conflict is when there is no proper communication, there's miscommunication, and when there's miscommunication, then you can be receiving wrong information, and that also can give rise to conflict. What else can you think? Like in communication, can you give example how that has led to conflict because of miscommunication? Can anyone give that example?
Sir, could you repeat the question again?
Yes. Give an example where that problem of communication was the reason to conflict. Like you receive wrong information, okay? Just try to think and reflect and say like that gave rise to conflict, that gave rise to fight, okay, struggle. Can you give an example?
So, like, suppose that you are not in like our like Viber group or something. So, you ask someone like me to like give a message, and like I write a message in Viber group, but I did not properly listen to it and wrote something wrong. Then it could cause conflict.
Okay. So like you,
Like
okay,
instead of like writing class will be at 4 p.m. I wrote class will be at 4:30 p.m. like that.
okay.
People could get confused and there could be conflict.
Okay, so because of that, people will get wrong information, and that can give rise to conflict between the one who mediated also, or the one between them who told you to also write that. So these are the various reasons of conflict. Other reason is like in case of like sometimes problem in behavior. Like in problem of behavior, that also can give rise to conflict. Like you see there's a behavior or the attitude is different, right? It's not matching, or like there's a bad behavior, that also can give rise to conflict. So that's another reason of conflict. Same way, like other reasons like personality traits like jealousy. Sometimes because of personality also there could be some conflict. Like people like jealousy also could give rise to conflict. People's greediness, like intolerance, lust for power, okay, inability to admit being wrong, that they always think they are right, right? They never tend to say that they are wrong, right? They never realize, right? That also could give rise to also conflict, because there's going to be like a problem between them because their perception is also not similar. Same way, other reasons like cultural and value difference. Like what type of cultural and value difference can give rise to conflict? What do you think? How can it give rise to conflict when there's a difference in culture and values? Please think. Okay, like there's a difference in case of like let's say culture. Also, like cultural differences also can give rise to conflict because sometimes you don't appreciate the other culture that they have, right? Some different cultures can be existing in different communities, then you don't appreciate that, right? Then that also can give rise to conflict. Same way, the values are different, like the way you have the values that is in your community, that is in your society, that is in your family, might be different than another person's values, and that also can give rise to conflict. The way they think, right? They might have a certain perception that this should be the values in the other person because their family also has the same values. Sometimes that also could give rise to conflict, but some things should be but more or less universal values should be also adopted. So these are the reasons how you can have a conflict. So different reasons. Other reasons can be itself you can be having a conflict when there is a when you have itself biasness. You can see there is a biasness, right? You can see number 14 as well. So there's a biasness, like they you feel someone is treating unequally, it's not being treated fairly, it's injustice, then that also can give rise to conflict. Same way, like in case of in the name of caste, right? They have been having conflict, thinking they are treated unequally. Some are treated indifferently, some are treated differently. That's what has given rise to conflict in the past. That was one of the reason that why they were treated unequally, right? So this is another example of conflict. Adrian, I cannot see you. So that's another reason of conflict. So when people are biased, when you see that the teacher is also treating you unfairly, then you also can have a conflict. Unfairly means someone is treating differently, someone is treating differently, although there is not much difference. If you see the like the different, like teacher is treating on the basis of like itself, like sometimes maybe based on some favorism, based on sometimes maybe different factors, then that's when you can also be having a conflict. So you can understand. So biasness, discrimination also can give rise to conflict. But of course, there's always appreciation for doing better works, right? That's a different case. Okay, so like that, sometimes there has to be some rewards. Some okay, rewards has to be there also, but sometimes you have to try to work not just for rewards. Okay, not always expecting rewards also too much. But it's better if you work without expecting so much rewards also. So during the school itself. So these are the various reasons of conflict. Sometimes your conflict is there because of different political views as well. So these are the different causes of conflict. Now there are different views of conflict. I just want to just tell the main thing rather than getting this in this order. Okay, like normally people like in the past, in the traditional view was that conflict is always bad and bad people conflict. Bad people only fight. Okay, and all conflicts are harmful and must be avoided. So that was the traditional view. And right now you can see the teacher is itself starting from beginning saying conflicts can be both positive and negative. Yes or no? So that was a traditional view, but nowadays it's not that all the conflicts are bad. Some conflicts are positive as well. So they are exactly not neither good. So that's the modern view. Neither good nor bad. It is natural part of life. Okay. So if you are able to use that properly, then it can make sure that there is even better results. Like if there's a competition, like that type of thing, then that is of course sometimes beneficial to the organization or to even some societies, right? As long as there is no physical fights or anything. So these are the different views. That's why you cannot say all conflicts are bad. Okay, so different types of conflict, like the conflicts can be happening intrapersonal between yourself also. Within you itself, there can be conflict that about anything between each other, like with your friends, with the people whom you're working around. Also, that's also one of the interpersonal conflict between two groups, intergroup, right? One group, then the other group, that's intergroup, right? It could be based on community, it could be based on different things. Next is intra-group. Within the group also there can be a conflict. Sometimes within the group itself, there's a conflict. Like I just give you example. They cannot come with a group decision. When to meet, when to work. So these are all conflicts happening. Okay? And but the thing is, main thing is problem solving, how to solve the problem. What could be the best thing is more or less follow the democratic practice there. That's group decision making. So group itself decides, okay, the time, and someone have to compromise to some extent. So these are the types of conflict. So now finally, after conflict, what is conflict management now? So after conflict, so first the topic is over. Now it's conflict management. We won't take so much time. So in case of conflict management, honestly, can you give out a try in your own words? What is conflict management?
Uh, Conflict management is like the kind of act of trying out, like the to figure out something about the conflict, like how it began.
Yes, problem solving, problem management. Yes or no? So that's what I told, right? Within the group also there will be conflict. There we have to be able to manage those conflict. Right now we are not going to understand all the different ways to manage conflict. We're just trying to understand those. What is that trend? Okay, how to manage them exactly? You will have to study later on in your life when you study those management to different subjects. Okay, then you'll be getting more into practical for that again. Is that clear? Like how, what is the process normally? What is the way of negotiation? Right? What is the diplomatic way? All these things are part of itself, like under conflict management. And this had a very good scope in the past. Many people did study this subject. This was itself a one faculty like science for master's level. Is that clear? Conflict management was itself the main topic. Whole subject was itself based on just managing conflict. But the scope has gone little down with the time, okay, because sometimes new subjects come, then new subject has a demand. Okay, so the way to handle those conflicts, this is part of itself conflict management. How to handle them fairly, okay, so that they are all happy. Both are either more or less happy that they both feel they have been treated fairly. Okay, both got almost equal opportunities, equal rights. So that can be the solution. So that this conflict management is to just make sure the damage control is also there. Okay, that maybe you have to do the damage control so that the negative aspect of conflict can be decreased. So that is itself conflict management. So how can this conflict management be done now? Okay, Darsana, can you give out a try? How do you think we can do conflict management? Fully, we are not doing all the classes too much interactive by actually doing brainstorming, okay? Because it takes time and sometimes this technique has to be used. But at the same time, I'm just asking randomly so that you're thinking. Yes, Darsana?
I guess the conflict managers will listen to both the sides, like what they are trying to say, then they can solve the problem.
Okay, so listen to both the sides, okay? Okay, yes, the one who is itself a mediator, more or less, if the people are not able to manage them, right? So in this conflict management, is to just, first of all, is to make sure that conflict can give positive results, okay? So that's one of the things. So we have to try to use that conflict in a positive way. If not, we have to try to do the damage control, okay? Or at least preventing potential harm out of the conflict, same thing. Is that clear? Just the synonyms, okay? Just using and playing the words, right? So that damage control can happen. That damage control should be done. So positive means, like we told you before also, positive, you can tell that conflict is positive when there's a feeling of competition. Positive results can come because of competition. You're competing with each other, then the students study better because some of them are competing with their friends to score better. Yes or no? Then that type of competition could be beneficial in case of education institution. Same way in the organization. There's a feeling of competition among the staff, then they tend to do better, then that's a benefit to the organization. Yes or no? So they're so motivated that they are competing with each other. So that thing is itself a positive aspect. So that,
We are out of time.
okay. And at the same time, source of innovation and change. So it should be like a source of, it could give rise to source of innovation and change. And negative, when there is a stress and non-cope, like this stress, then that is negative itself. So conflict resolution, you have to listen. You have to find the cause of that problem. You have to find the nature of the conflict. You have to understand what is the source of that conflict. What is the reason of that conflict? Okay, what are the root causes of that conflict? And try to see the possible outcomes that can come from that, so that the conflict can be managed. So that there's a good negotiation between the two parties, whether between two people during in the school, or whether it be between two countries, right? There has to be a negotiation, whether it be between two political parties, or whether it be between, like in the past you saw there was a conflict going on, Maoist conflict, right? Maoist insurgency time, political conflict, how the dialogue was kept between the government, which was led by more or less Congress with Giriza Prasad Koirala, who had several dialogue itself with, he was one of the leader of that time of Congress itself, who at least brought Maoist to the, like from that step, they brought them to the, at least for the government to compete for the election. So that negotiation was done. Okay, different negotiation. So that's how conflict can be also managed. Another way is to have proper communication. Sometimes when you manage that conflict, you have to be always in a win-win situation, that the both parties are in a win situation, that both parties are happy, that nobody loses, nobody feels like they had to compromise, that thinks that another person got the better offer and I got the very bad offer. So that is win-lose situation. So that is not going to be fair, but both have to think both are almost treated equally, and then that's how the conflict can be also resolved. So these are the various conflict resolution technique. You have to do the way of collaborating where both are in a win-win. If compromise, win-lose. Yes or no? One has to compromise. Sometimes accommodating, both are in lose-lose situation. No, none of the parties are in a good situation. But we have to more or less focus on win-win situation. This is the thing. So that is mean by win-win situation. Is that clear? So that both of them feel they're got the equal opportunities. Okay, so these are, and other things are itself to communicate, and so that there is proper communication, and then conflict can be managed. So this is the way how conflict management can be done. So more or less, sometimes two people cannot itself do, then you need a mediator, always the third party who is neutral and not biased on any side. If the person is biased, then it's not going to be good conflict management. So that conflict management who is doing should come up with a reasonable solution for both the parties. Okay, so none of the techniques that we tell is exactly good or bad. It depends like when to use which strategy. Okay, it depends on situation, and we have to always analyze the situation. Okay, what type of strategy to use at what time. Okay. Anything about this? Okay, any question regarding this? If not, we can end it now. It was almost going to be over. I couldn't immediately finish it.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have anything, you can ask. If not, you may start leaving if you have no questions. I'll just stay for 1 or 2 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.